Hello, I've got a really green project for you today. I'm using here the Garden Lane DSP, and I've created a flower out of a balloon punch. And anybody who's seen my videos before knows how much I love a punch. So I'm going to show you how I made this. I'm going to let you know where I found the idea. But before I do so, please hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos, and also hit the bell so you get notifications of every time I release a new video. So where I found this idea was on Pinterest. Found something quite similar from a lady called Simone Bartram. She's an Australian demonstrator, and it wasn't her that made it. I think it was probably a member of her team, or maybe a member of her crafting club, called Wendy from Bendigo, and that's all I know about her. And she came up with this idea of having a card where you've got a chunk of it cut out here, and then also you've got a cut out here as well. And I wanted, she'd put another flower on there. I don't think it was with the Stampin' Up punch or die, but I decided, I seen somebody, in fact it was my upline scrimping mummy, who, I think it was her, who made a flower using the hot air balloon punch. And it kind of got me thinking, because I don't have the hot air balloon punch. And so what I tried to do, I tried lots of different things. I started punching out balloons in vellum, and I created a big flower using the large balloon, and then the inner bit was using the small balloon. That was really fiddly, and I was trying to do that last night where I really didn't have a lot of patience. And then I just stuck a red, I literally was, that's not really the colour that I would put with that, I was just playing about with it. But the vellum was really fiddly, and maybe if it had been a better hour of the day I wouldn't have been so impatient. So what I decided to do actually was to do it in DSP. It's far easier to use. So I'm going to show you how I made this. So these are the supplies that I've used. Let's put that to one side. So I've got, you can make 2 cards out of one piece of cardstock, or one base. So this is half of a A4 very vanilla, and then I've just cut it in half on the short side at 4 1/8, and then I've scored it down the middle at 5 7/8. So there is my card base. So the next thing I need to do is actually cut out that section there. And this is how I did that. I got my trimmer, got the card, making sure that I'm trimming this side. Don't get it the wrong way round and you start trimming it that side, that way. And so make sure that you got that as the top, and there is your fold that you can't see on camera now. There is your fold. And then I lined that up at 1 1/2. And then I got my blade, and I just, you can't see that there, I lined up my blade, which has got a little pointy bit on it, and I lined that up on the fold. So I've just made sure I've got everything square there, and I have to start that from the top, and then I brought that down to the fold. Oh, it won't go anymore. Come on, just a bit further. That's gone too far. Take 2. So got myself another piece of very vanilla cardstock, and I cut that down the middle. It's only on camera. Cut that down the middle at 4 1/8. That's the scorer. Down the middle at 4 1/8. Score it in the middle at 5 7/8. Right, should we try that again? So there is the front of my card. So if it was folded, there's the front of my card. I'm going to try it again. So I've lined it up at the top, which you can't see at the moment, and then I'm going to bring my blade down to the score line. And take that out of there like that. So that's gone right up to the score line there. Let's get rid of that before I do any more damage with it. And I need a pair of scissors. So there's my card. I've scored, or I haven't, I've cut along there. So I'm now just going to cut along that score line in the middle. and take that front section out like that. And I'm just going to get my bone folder to trim that a little bit more. It's because I can't get really close up to it. I don't have fantastic eyesight, and because I'm on camera I can't get close up to it, so let's just trim that bit off. That's better. Okay, so there's the start of my card. Now I want to put some cardstock in the middle of that, and I've got a piece of old olive which I'm going to put in there. I think old olive goes really nicely with Very Vanilla. Just think it's a really nice contrast. So I'm just going to get some Tombow and just stick that in the middle of my card. And it's just got a very faint border all the way around it. And that folds over like that. Then I've got a piece of the Garden Lane, and that's going to sit on there. So I've cut that to 2.5 by 5 3/4, and using Tombow again, stick that to the front of the card. When you're cutting out your DSP for the front, make sure you get the direction right. You can't just cut it any old way, because if there is a pattern going a particular way and you've turned your DSP around the wrong way, your pattern's going to go that way and it won't quite look right. So there we have that. I'm going to put that to one side just to let that glue set a little bit. So the next part of the card is going to be this flower, and I've used some old olive gingham from the paper stack. Where is my gingham? There it is. So I've got that, and I've got my balloon punch. Now you could make a huge flower. If you were making a bigger card, you might want to use the big balloon to make a big flower, but I'm just going to use the small balloon. So to do that, I'm just going to cut out some balloons like that. I'm just going to punch a few out. 6 of them I'll need. See how easy it is to get an instant shape using punches. This is why I love punches so much. How many have I got there? 4. I'm trying to get the gingham tool to go into the same direction, but it isn't really that necessary. And that one's going to be slightly off, and I'm not worried about that. The next thing I'm going to do with those balloons, so that's going to be the front of my petal, and that's what we're going to see, and that's the back. So from the back, get your bone folder or a ruler or a blunt knife or something, be very careful, and then just curl them a little bit so it just curls up slightly. And you'll do that with all of them. So if you face the back and just a quick curl, and it just gives your flower some, just makes it a bit more 3D, because flowers aren't flat, are they? Let's just curl that. So that's 6 petals curled. So back to our card, and in order to get that flower to fit, then we've got this cut out bit, and I've used the 2-inch punch for that. And we're going to put that, it's going to be off centre, it's going to be to the right. So open up your punch. You could use the starburst punch if you like, because that's got some pointy edges on that. It's entirely up to you. And I've gone about halfway. I've not measured it, I've just eyeballed it. And I've just been a little bit brave. I've made sure that it's straight. So I've made sure that that line is parallel to that line. And just a little brave moment, punch it. So there's my little cutout there. Now what I'm going to do is just plan where my flower's going to go before you stick it down, so you've got an idea of where it is. Now this is how I laid out my petals. I did vertical petals, making sure that that petal doesn't go above the card, otherwise you'll struggle to get it in an envelope. And then I did 2 diagonals there, so one, 2 balloons going diagonally there and 2 going diagonally there. So if you get an idea as to where your flower's going to go, it makes it much easier. Now opening this, it does kind of catch it a little bit, but I didn't really want to make that circle any bigger than that, because I think it just would have been too big. So that gives me an idea of where that's going to go. And let's get it glued down. So just started off with a little bit of glue on the first balloon. Well, we're calling them petals now, we're not calling them balloons. Line it up in the middle, making sure that the top of that petal doesn't go beyond the top of the card. And then what I found worked, using my bone folder without getting glue on it, and just pushing that down there, and just that first one, just giving that a moment to set. And then rather than putting glue then on the petals, I then put glue on here, and because some of that glue has leaked out, you don't need to put too much on there. And just going to let that overlap just slightly. And then you just start arranging them. I've lost the shape on that petal a bit. Now instead of using wet glue, you could use glue dots. But the thing with glue dots, and also with tear and tape and snail and things like that, once they're down, and you can't really manoeuvre them. So that's why I use wet glue for something like this. And it really doesn't take long to set whatsoever. So there are my diagonal ones. And then the second lot of diagonal ones. And I think this project shows that, if you are limited into the amount of punches that you've got, try and think outside the box. It's only because I saw somebody using the hot air balloon punch to make a flower, and I was looking in my punch drawer where I keep all my punches, and I thought, well, there's no reason why I couldn't make a flower out of the balloon punch. So anything that's circular. So there is my flower, but we need to just finish it off. So I'm looking around for my glimmer paper. There it is. So I've just got some glimmer paper here just to put in the middle. It just gives the project a little bit of a wow factor. So this is the 1/2 inch punch. And use any colour glimmer paper. You can use the gold one if you like. I think we have a copper one, but now I'm wondering if I've made that up. If we haven't got one now, we did used to, but there is gold and silver, and there's possibly a diamond one as well. So there is our flower, which sits quite nicely, and that one actually works better than my first one because I've just raised it very, very slightly. But we need to have a sentiment on there. I've used Old Olive. You could still write on that quite easily. I've really got in mind who I'm going to give this card to. It's one of my closest friends' birthday tomorrow, and I think I might I don't really think she's a lover of green, so I'm going to find a different colour for that, and I'll put a picture of that on my blog. All of the measurements that I've got on here will be on my blog, and I'll leave a link to that down below. Also, on that blog will be all the details with regard to products, and there will also be a link to my shop. Anyway, let's get this sentiment on. I've used the Beautiful Friendship stamp, and I've got the, where has it gone? Birthdays are the best days. That's what I'm going to use. So there is my block and my stamp, and I'm just going to do black. I don't really think there was any other colour that I could have used with that. I could have used a silver heat emboss, but then that would have made this video incredibly long, but that's probably for my friend. I'll make that with silver heat embossing. So I'm just going to line that up there just so that we can see that before we've opened the card, and press that down. And there we have it. for somebody who likes green. If you've got some other DSP that's a different colourway, then all you need to do is just find a nice coordinating cardstock that goes with that. We've got the paper stack in all of the different colours, in the brights, in the subtles, in the regals, and in the in colours as well. So you would just choose your favourite range of colour, and then anything could go in there. A bit of glimmer paper, a bit of cardstock, anything you like. So I hope you like this project. I will be along soon with another one. Hope to see you then. Bye bye.